Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you were, boom, there's another one. How were you making that available? Was that via your website?
Yes.
Yep. When you were doing that, were you capturing any data about those people downloading? Were you capturing an email, an address, anything like that, a name?
We didn't have the technical ability.
Yeah. I really like the approach you've taken there. I've sort of more recently just started citing and is probably the most advantage you can take of those 7,000, because there's 7,000 people you don't know how to access anymore.
No, correct.
So there, an email and a postcode, I would say, would probably be the more data you can get from them without giving people the shits.
He's going to need a privacy policy.
Well, that's it.
You can take it off his website. Oh no, you can't.
This is what I'm trying to say is, the most information you can get out of someone without having them go, too much effort, is great. So, ideally you'd want to get a gender, a name, a postcode and an email address or something like that. And if, you think your fans are more than happy to hand that over, you then have, even a date of birth, so you can get their age, so you can look at what demographic and whatever that those people downloading would be fantastic when you go to tour. Because it's then like, well, we have 300 fans in Bendigo,
Wagga.
And you can say, well, there's 300 people we can target. We can say email everyone in postcode whatever Bendigo is.
What postcode is Bendigo?
I don't know.
No one should know that.
And so you can say, well, there's 300 people we can email and say, we've got a show Saturday night in Bendigo.
And it's going to rock.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've sort of coming around to that idea of utilising data as...
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as well. I just don't know how to do it. But
okay, good advice. Back to your three examples.
Sorry. So the second example, it was... Sure. Yes, okay. Am I being marked? I see you've got a pen. No, fair enough. It was a share-alike, non-commercial license.
So which means that it was available for remixing as long as remixes were shared on the same terms, you weren't making any money, and you acknowledged the band.
Right, and the second...
You didn't charge a fee for download?
No. Thank you. So the second example, because we thought that was pretty exciting and worked pretty well, and so we decided to release the stems or each different track of that song to try to take double advantage of the popularity that it had to make them available for remixing. We didn't monitor how many people downloaded the stems because we forgot how to do that. Except it was easy to gauge the success of that one because we had an underwhelming one remix was sent back to us, and I Google this every day, so I know there wasn't any more.
What was the fact that it was one underwhelming, or was the remix underwhelming?
I don't know that I should answer the second limb of that question.
I'll leave that one.
Yeah, because it's not hard to work out whose remix it was.
Yeah, that's right. They're a group of one, so you can defame them by not naming them.
And your third example?
And the third example is about to happen. I guess it's happening. We've had a music video put together by a guy who is pretty good at digital artwork type stuff, and is from Brisbane. Anyway, he's Luke Harris is his name. Has put together a music video, and we're about to release that properly, and it's going to be released under a CC license as well. And we're hoping, because we're going to release it, one, as just a video streaming, but also two, as a song and a video in separate files. And we're hoping that people will take advantage of that to both our advantage and to Luke's, as the artist that created it, and that we'll get some result out of that. But
You know which license you'll use?
I think the same one.
Same one. Okay. And you don't object if someone wants to come along and pay you for your music. You're not saying you'll object to that. You're using a CC license and you're using the non-commercial one, so you've reserved your right to commercialise, so to speak. If someone uses your work commercially, if you were motivated, you could go to them and say, hang on a minute, I think you owe me a royalty, or owe me some money, a licence fee for this.
Are you then able to use someone like Musicadium and sell that in those stores as well?
Of course, because you're granting to the world a non-commercial right to distribute the content. Nothing stops you as the content
to sell it
owner,
commercially.
as the copyright owner, to also commercially sell the same content. Yes, I can see that there's a match made in heaven happening right here. So yeah, and I mean that's one of the important things, that if getting your content out there, letting people share it non-commercially across their social media networks into the kinds of networks and communities that as a band might be interested in your stuff but which you're not directly connected to, Creative Commons is certainly a way to do that. And that means that if you're using the non-commercial licenses, you can still make commercial exploitation of the same content.
That's really cool.
I think on that point, we weren't we were in a possibly slightly advanced position from Seth Century, who you were talking about before, because we had physical and digital distribution from a previous release, which we've since licensed under Creative Commons anyway. So I'm pretty sure we're doing some fair breach of contract, because I imagine there was some crazy exclusivity attached. But
probably was.
I don't think they're really
no one's
watching.
motivated to come after you because they probably think blah blah blah. Yeah.
Who are you using for that?
Okay.
Or should we talk about that later?
Yeah,
Talk about that later. We need to get some questions from the floor before we get on with the music. So some really interesting points here. I'm sure there's some provocative statements have been made. Some people saying that we agree, we disagree. How about some questions? I still think there's some things that we could talk further about, but any questions? If not, we might answer a final few ourselves.
Heckle away.
Yeah, heckle away. Anyone? Yeah.
Have you guys all heard of...
You want to come up and speak? No? Okay.
Have you guys all heard of Gavera, and what are your thoughts on that? Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Okay, just do you want to explain it briefly?
It's basically a site where the advertisers pay for you to access the music and download it, supposedly. It's still in its trial thing, so no one can really tell how...
No, it's live now.
It's
live.
So you're saying free download because they've got an ad revenue? Or
Basically, it's a store in the same vein that iTunes is a store, except the actual user isn't paying for it as such. They're not making a transaction to do it. What it is when you sign up, you fill out a profile about yourself, a user profile, and it asks you a series of questions. It's actually quite a long process. It's kind of annoying.
It's kind of like a dating
But
site.
it is. It really is. And what it does is it profiles you to the kinds of advertisers that would suit you. And so what the advertiser gets out of that is incredibly targeted marketing to you. And they then sponsor that download for the privilege of being able to market to that user. Yep.
Look, I think any experimentation in this space from the sort of mainstream music market is a good thing in theory, because it is one of the first sort of steps forward from the majors into this space.
One thing to note about the majors in that store, there's only 2 currently.
Yeah.
Most stores will go live with all 4 or not at all.
Yep.
Because its profitability is based upon having those 4, because they obviously make up the majority of money spent in the actual music space. So it's interesting that there's only 2. Give it time. I'm sure that they'll eventually have all 4 there.
Yeah.
Also, the process of actually downloading and acquiring the content in that store is still in a fairly clunky sort of process. Yeah. When you buy it, you can, that sponsor will only sponsor you to get, say, 2 tracks out of that album,